Anyway, so it shouldn't affect much.
Simon.
I have to watch a guy eat a burger in January. That's still on my agenda.
If I win press, I have no commitments. If I don't, coordinator of OCC.
Yeah, if I don't get it, shit all.
Stephen Gia.
For those of you who don't know, there was a motion to change the structure of council, and it failed this past annual general meeting. If you're elected president, would you restructure council?
The question was, would you restructure council? Abdullah.
So in terms of the way we currently have it, the system of having 2 class representatives per class, I would not change that. However, I would work to further define the role of a class rep and make sure that everybody's more informed about what their responsibilities are. I know that we did a great job with it today, and I'll keep enforcing that and making sure that class reps are held accountable to their actual roles and responsibilities.
Thank you, Abdullah. Patricia? Patricia says the same thing. Simon?
Sure? I don't know if you guys want it.
Simon says sure if you guys want it. On.
To better word what Simon said, I like the way structure is now, but if we were mandated to change it, I would look into it.
Jeff?
Yeah, I agree with On. I don't think it's something the president should choose by themselves. If their constituents want it, then they should go ahead and do it or look into it.
Other questions for the presidential candidates? Executive.
If you lose the presidential race, will you run for a VP or REEF position?
If you lose the presidential race, will you run for a VP or REEF position? Pat, if you could start, please.
I'm considering running for VP academic if I don't get press.
I'd create a government in exile.
No.
It would depend who wins and if we want to take the society in the same direction.
As the current VP Finance, I'm hoping that by the end of my term, I would finish all of my goals as VP Finance, so I will not want to run again.
Kieran.
Are there any parts of the portfolio that you think you would struggle with?
Simon, if you could start first, please.
Everything.
I think I do the role well, so I wouldn't struggle with it.
No.
Ultimately, I would say I would work with my team to try and make it as best as I could. But I would say it depends on whether the people that get elected match my views for the society.
And it would take some time for me, I guess, to remember all the bylaws by heart. That's the only thing I could see having an issue with.
Over here.
In terms of encouraging first-year involvement in EngSoc, what would your guys' optimal method or technique be in order to make sure that more first-years come out to EngSoc events or just know about EngSoc in general?
On.
So I definitely approve of first-year involvement, not just in EngSoc, but in all matters. I am an off-campus Don, and I've been promoting first-year involvement in my Don group as much as I could. A big part of my platform is community. I've worked on almost every organization I know on campus, and I think they're wonderful. And so I should be working with them and encouraging first-years from all of them to get involved in all of them. Obviously, first-years can get involved in all of them. I've tried. It is hell of a commitment, but one or more. Another thing I would definitely do is do more class visits. Make sure all the reps know to get their class involved as much as possible. Ultimately, first year is hectic. I didn't get involved in first year because I just had no time to barely pass. So I'd encourage as much as possible. We do hire a first year commissioner, and I think this year they've done a wonderful job, and I have no doubt they'll continue to do it.
Thank you. On, Jeff.
Cool. Funny story, in my platform I have something eerily similar to what Rachel proposed and put forward today and we passed. About trying to put more money back into individual classes to encourage their EngSoc participation. So I look at continuing that, not just first years, but all years. And then also just look at revamping. I don't think communications are an issue. Honestly, I think it's the events we're running. I'd look at revamping those to make sure they're applicable to first years. And at the end of the day, if first years don't want to come out, that's totally fine. We are never going to get 100% people coming out, so we need to just do as good as we can.
Thank you, Jeff. Abdullah.
I believe that in order to encourage someone to want to get involved, you have to try and make like a personal connection with them. And I know, like when I was in first year, the thing that got me involved was getting to talk to the uppers and get to know them a bit better. And I feel like a personal connection could be made to all first years through their class reps, since they are their friends, they are their classmates, they are their number one point of contact to us. So I feel like essentially as president, I would want to work closer with the class reps and keep them more engaged with the going-ons of the society other than the council meetings that we have every few weeks. And as a result, getting the class reps more engaged, we get them to engage more with their class. And when there's more of a personal connection there, first years want to get more involved because their friends are doing it too.
I also think that we should keep in touch with all the first year class representatives as well as the other class representatives, and having people informed and connected to EngSoc and making sure that the information is disseminated is very important. and also being very approachable, because if EngSoc events don't feel approachable and don't feel welcoming, not enough people will go.
I think we need to trick all the first years into participating. So I'm promoting a long con on the first year.
Celine?
What changes would you make to which events are run and how they're funded?
The question is what changes you would make to which events and how would they be newly? Jeff, please start.
All right, cool. Big part of my platform is making sure that we're putting people's fees towards the events that they're actually going to. In terms of specifics, I would want to spend most of my first figuring out who's coming to our events, trying to get info on that. For example, are we having people coming out to like 5 events, or few people coming out to 1? See if we're allocating money proportional to the number of people that are coming out, and then kind of reevaluate from there. I think services are a good use of our money in terms of how many people we get out versus how much money we put in. So I'd look to expand those, but really it's going to be the first term kind of has to be a revamp of the calendar, in my opinion.
Other than reevaluating all of the events that we currently run, I would want to encourage my team and my director team and commissioner team to essentially think outside the box. So, I've noticed that with a lot of our events, sometimes there isn't much change that happens term to term, and that's just because it worked once. Things haven't really been changing as often. So working to think creatively and motivate all of my directors to try their best to, obviously I know it's not my job to be the main person to talk to the directors, but motivating essentially the entire EngSoc team as a whole to try and think creatively outside the box and try and think of new ways to revamp the events, think of new events, think of ways that we can keep the students more engaged while trying to also serve the people that enjoyed our previous events.
To add on what both candidates have said so far, also to look into the services that are the most popular and the most used, and to expand those to be as expensive as possible.
I think directorship funding should be based on gladiator duels. Yeah.
Here, I'm done. I haven't said my thing yet. So I was student life commissioner, which means I had a lot of internal events under my portfolio. I think there's nothing wrong with the events we have. Obviously, some of them do need to be revamped. It's more on the directors. When we had passionate directors who really wanted their events to go well, they did go well. We did have a lot of involvement. There are some events that, in my opinion, aren't so great and need to be revamped. Also, our services need to be revamped. But that is, I think I can have a vision for that, but that is up to my VP in academic and student life to do. I can encourage them, but I'm definitely not for stepping on anyone's toes. If my VP student life wants to cancel all events and redo it, that is up to them. That's why they're elected. Presidents don't do everything.
Kieran.
Really important part of the president's role is advocacy, which means fighting people who don't share the same opinions as you, especially on things like PD. What do you think makes you particularly opposed to the other candidates will make you good at fighting people and basically convincing them that your opinion, the opinion of the student body, is correct?
This is asked to all candidates, is that correct, Kieran?
Yes.
I'm going to ask that Abdullah goes first, just for...
No, I don't want to say anything. Can I just...
Oh, point of clarification?
Not point of clarification. Can we refrain from comparing ourselves to other candidates?
I don't want you to compare yourself to other candidates.
You said, how would you be better than other candidates?
About you specifically.
Okay.
Like experience or something that makes you excel in this.
Abdullah, please.
Well, I guess in the case of this specific question, essentially, I'm the kind of person who always likes to compromise and try to make things work. So if there is a certain view that I have, not myself, the society has, I mean, if the society has a certain view, I would work with all people involved, essentially trying to find the best compromise and work with the faculty to try and fight for it based on the students' wants and needs and try and find a midway between both.
I would make sure that the students had a very clear, defined opinion on the stance, and then find all the supporting points that I could to push it to the university or to whatever other group there is. I've got experience in this by doing a lot of outreach and by doing a lot of work with other universities in consortiums.
I'd like to point out that I'm the only candidate that has brought up conflict resolution by combat, so I think I am very qualified to engage in fights with administration and what have you.
So I think administration has pretty valid points most of the time. They have been around longer than most of us have. Saying that I'm going to fight them on every point that the students disagree with would not be correct. I agree with Abdullah saying we can find a lot of middle ground. We are working for the goal of the students. We both want the same thing, so I think we can find a lot of middle ground. A lot of times when I've had to fight with the university is you cannot be an orientation leader and a DOM. That is strictly a rule that I was kicked out of OWEEK for last year. This orientation week, I was allowed to do both because I sat down with the people in charge for months on end to convince them to let me do both, and they did by making a compromise that we both agreed to. It's possible to negotiate with the university and feds. A second thing is, actually, never mind. That's a good example. I don't want to waste more time.
Jeff?
Sorry. Cool, good question. So you want to know why I think I'm good at advocating? That's because I've been doing it as VP Education for the past year. That is literally their job aside from services. I'm on committees with Associate Dean Undergrad, Associate Dean Teaching, Professional Affairs. I've already been talking to people about PD, work term reports. The reason we're able to have Career Fair early this year, by the way, Career Fair is next week, and I'll come, is because I fought Sika on it, because in theory we're not actually supposed to have it within a month of their run event. So basically I already have that experience. I've already have those connections, and as pres, I'd sit on committees with a lot of the same people I already do now. Does that answer your question, Kieran?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you.
Julian?
Which traditions would you bring back?
Pat, if you could please start.
Oh, I would bring back Cubbies Day, like at least once a month. Just have a day where people can just show up in Cubbies and celebrate that.
I think putting our enemies' heads on spears, that was a good tradition. It's been a while.
I can't say I support enemies and putting them on spears. I'd be lying if I told you I knew all the traditions we had in the past and to evaluate which one I would do. I'd bring back your spirit because I think that was a pretty great thing.
I bring back Prof tricycle races. It's exactly what it sounds like. I don't know when it ended. They definitely did it in the 80s. I would run it as a charity event though. So the classes would kind of like sponsor their prof or something to participate.
What was the name of the event?
Oh, sorry, Prof tricycle races. Yeah, sorry, everyone. Okay, cool.
One tradition I would not necessarily bring back right away, but potentially look into was the one that got me excited about getting involved was the OTs that were held in Poets back when they used to be part of orientation week. OTs are the up-term parties, the beginning, middle, and end of term parties. I would look into bringing those back because those were my favorite events of the term, and those were what got me first involved in energy.
Austin?
This is a question to all candidates. What approach will you take if you do get presidency to build and maintain strong relationships with the society? Being bisexual myself, you know, I love both societies and would like to see them working very healthily together.
Simon?
I think we should have, sometimes we should see each other occasionally with our eyes.
I agree that we should see each other with our eyes. I think that's a pretty good point. A big part of my platform, as I said, is unity. That is with EngSoc because I think they're wonderful people. The new exec team they have is pretty awesome. I would also extend that to a lot of other organizations that we have on campus. We have a lot of great people. Velocity, working with Velocity has been pretty great. Working with OCC was pretty great. I think we can bring back a lot of unity.
I'm sorry, the question was about the society.
Yeah, I know. I said that at the beginning. I would try to work as hard as I can to bring society and society together.
Definitely I think compromising is the way to go. The unfortunate reality is that B Society and A Society are elected by two different constituents. As such, you can be elected with differing goals. So obviously you're going to try to meet in the middle, but at the end of the day, if I'm elected by the A Society members, my obligation is to them and to do the best that I can for them, even if it conflicts with B Society.
For me, I believe clear-cut communication is the way to go. Essentially, if I get elected, I right away want to have a meeting with the B Society executives just to try and make sure that our goals meet. If not, we at least try to compromise and work towards a common goal because, yes, we are representing two separate constituencies, however, we are one society. Having said that, if the A Society Council were to mandate us to work on something the B Society Council didn't necessarily agree with, I would still have to work for my society. But again, trying to reach a middle ground and try to collaborate with to make sure common goals are met is the best way to go. Communication is key.
I would also agree that communication is key in making sure that transition documents or events and services that are offered in one term are, if they can be ongoing, if EngSoc supports them as well, to have them continuous enough and have them connected in that sort of way. I know most of the current, I guess, new EngSoc exec, all but one, so I think I would have a good start with forming that connection with them and with the exec team that I'm elected with, if I am elected.
Other questions? President Adele?
This was one that was asked yesterday, and I think is very relevant as president. What is your approach to conflict management, specifically when managing a team?
On, if you could start, please.
I think my sense of conflict management is finding a neutral third party. When we're all elected with the goal of helping our society, if there is conflict, I'm pretty sure it's because both parties think they have some pretty good points. If I was not involved in the conflict, I would be that third body to make sure that both parties know what each other think and are communicating a lot. I would never let the problem stew, because the longer a conflict stays, the worse it gets, and the possibility of a solution goes away. If I am in fact a person in the conflict, I would ask one of my executives that isn't involved to be that third party. And if it's between the entire exec team, and I would ask the commissioners or the board of directors to step in and be that third body. In short, I would hope no conflicts happen. If they do, I try to make sure they're solved as quickly as possible and with having as many people happy as possible.
Okay, conflicts happen. It's a fact of life. I would try to encourage my team to be as open as possible about it. If it's with two VPs and they disagree, then I would encourage them to come to me and we should try to work through it. If any of the VPs had a conflict with me, I would invite them to put time on my calendar, sit down one-on-one, and discuss it. I feel like that's how things should be handled once. Obviously, if that doesn't work and it turns out to be the entire team, then I would take it to the board. I think that's something that they could help with kind of as a mediator.
As Jeff said, conflicts do happen, and the best way to do them, I believe, is honesty. Yes, because we all get elected on different platforms, conflict is often more than likely to arise, especially if one person believes that somebody wants to do something in a separate way than others. I believe that trying to find a middle ground and compromise is key. Open and clear communication is key. Talking to the person, trying to find a middle ground that satisfies both parties, and essentially just trying to mitigate the situation before it festers any further than it must. Essentially just trying to communicate with the other party face-to-face, openly, honestly, just try to get each person's point across in a respectful way as to try and essentially have a productive conversation as to how to better improve the society and not let any personal conflicts come in between.
2-minute warning. Sorry.
Conflict should be resolved as soon as possible, as soon as we start.
I think I've already sort of outlined this, but it's going to be resolved through combat, through physical feats of strength. Now, it's important though that it's scheduled at least a week so that they can have time for a training montage, because whoever is most dedicated to their cause will win.
We have
One last question.
If there is one last question, I will be interested in entertaining it. H Streamtron 2020.
Yeah. What singular accomplishments on the behalf of the Engineering Society in the past are each of you most proud of?
Jeff, if you could start, please.
Sure. So I kind of briefly mentioned it before. Career fair is both current and one that I'm quite proud of. The way it works is there's 4 schools, and they, in theory, are not supposed to run competing events on campus. They all run a career fair together. After working with Eric last term, we decided we want to have career fair earlier, so that rather than just full-time people, we could have, I'll say like non-graduating students go to the event and interact for co-op. When we initially proposed this, they were heavily opposed as it was a competing event. So I was able to work with Zika, which isn't an easy task sometimes, and we were able to get it moved up so that now it's happening when co-op starts. Thanks, Jen.
I guess if I were to name one specific thing that I did, it's not necessarily something that's very visible to the student body, but one thing that I'm very proud of that I've done is our accounting practices dictate how exactly we should do all of our bookkeeping, and I've done a lot to better improve the documentation and template transfer between both societies as to make all financial documents between the society, between the two societies as consistent as possible, so that when we do get audited every year, now things are so much smoother for our business manager and the auditors, and as a result, everything just becomes so much easier to handle.
It's had such a wide variety of contributions to EngSoc in a lot of different ways, and I don't think there's anyone that I would pick over the other to say I'm proud of, because I'm proud of all of them and what they've done.
Once made Kieran really mad by putting on a trilogy of plays.
The entire society, not just Kieran.
Especially I think Kieran was the most mad at it. Like the most vocal anyway.
So I did not make Kieran mad, so I apologize if that's something that the council wanted. So the thing I think I'm most proud of in EngSoc is the culture that I've kind of made around myself and my directors, and my first years. I really appreciate. I really believe in a culture of appreciation and feeling important. A lot of my directors, when they had finished their directorship, had told me that they had felt that they were valued. I'm sorry if you think this is circular, but this is important. Oh, I'm so sorry. You were doing this first. Anyways, I don't want to take any more of your time. The thing, what made me realize is I can't actually run this campaign. I do not have the time to run this campaign whatsoever. I'm involved with so many things on campus. I've had floods of people offer to help. I didn't make my own buttons. I didn't make my own posters.
In one single item that you're most proud of.
Creating the culture.
Creating the culture.
This is the culture that I'm describing. I'm sorry if I'm taking out of scope, guys. My apology. I have created a culture around myself and my friends and the people I've met in engineering to make it a family, to make everyone feel valued. One example, we're restricting it to just one. When I was commissioner, we held an event called the Let's Talk Mental Health. That was an initiative that me and EngSoc put forward. We invited all faculties to attend, and we had a great turnout. The reason I singled that one event out is because I gave a speech during then about how mental health affected me. And I've had so many people since then come to me and say good things about it. And I think that culture is what I would bring as president and what I'm most proud of achieving. I'm sorry if that was out of scope, guys.
Thank you, candidates. That is all the time. Very quickly.